Aujourd'hui, Tony Lou nous... Mais il y a des gens qui me regardent aussi, là. Aujourd'hui, Tony Lou nous reçoit dans son salon de tatouage Tetrodon à Bordeaux.
Elle va nous faire découvrir le métier de tatoueur.
Comment devient-on tatoueur?
Quelles sont les coulisses et les secrets du métier? Tout, vous saurez tout du métier de Tony Lou.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Tony Lou, je suis anglaise. Désolée, mon français c'est terrible, so I continue in English. Pardon. My name's Tony. I've been tattooing for 15 years. I'm from England originally. I started tattooing in 2002. I had a very old-fashioned apprenticeship from a very good tattooer in my local hometown. After about 7 years of working with him, I went off and travelled through Asia, through Australia, around Europe. I lived in Berlin for 5 years where I met a French guy. We got married and had a baby, and that's why I moved to Bordeaux. I've been here now for 2 years, and this is my first studio. My job is amazing. Inspiring, allows me to travel all over the world. My job is fun, individual, different every day. I get to meet some amazing people. I'm allowed to look how I want and dress how I want. I never do the same thing twice. There's not many bad things, actually. My job is difficult on my back. I'm the boss, so I used to have to work Sundays. Now I will still work Saturdays or the occasional Sunday or late night, but I've fit that around. I have a 3-year-old son, so I'll now work in his school times and more playing, less work. If I'm not comfortable with the tattoo design or the person, I will not tattoo them. I choose what I want to do in my job. My job's amazing because I get to work with my husband. He's a musician. Can't think of any other bad things. It's a pretty awesome job. That was hard when I first started tattooing. Yeah, I mean, I was 17. He treated me pretty bad. It wasn't easy. I was making the tea and cleaning the floor hall, they used to call me. It was very sexist, lonely, not paid at all for 2 years. It was hard, but you know, I paid my dues, and that's why I really feel strongly about the job now, and I know how to do it inside and out. So I started working in a tattoo studio when I was only 17 years old. Before that, I had been studying to be an art teacher, and it just didn't seem like the right career for me. So luckily I got into a local studio that was very good in England. I started off piercing for 2 years, cleaning the floor, cleaning the toilet, basically anything and everything I could do just to get the chance to start to have a tattoo machine in my hand. It was really slow, really hard work, starting, you know, right at the bottom and working way up to the top, but I'm very thankful of the apprenticeship, sort of old-fashioned apprenticeship training that I had to get into it. I would say, you know, now with the internet, how easy it is to buy machines and whatever. It is easier in some ways to get into it, but to do it properly, to learn properly from someone, it's a lot harder. I would recommend, if you want to start doing it, is to draw. Keep drawing. Don't tattoo from home. It's not a good way into it. You need to know hygienically what you're doing before you start tattooing people. Take your portfolio of drawings around to tattoo studios in the area. Ask them, not for a job, but ask them for advice and listen to them. Act on it, like improve your drawing, bring it back to them a year later, show them that you've improved, that you still want to do it. If you really want to do it, you will get into it. There are schools you can learn in schools, especially in like Thailand and that, you know, that's something, again, I wouldn't recommend. It's not like a factory line, and by the end of it, you're just kind of sort of shunted out the door with a certificate that doesn't actually mean anything. I started tattooing on people. I was lucky I never tattooed my own legs, not to learn anyway. My boss, like I said, he'd been tattooing since the 60s, and there was lots of older people around his clients that were happy to let me then learn. I would just go over his old lines that he'd done 30 years ago, and because his clients were also then in their 50s or 60s, they would be alcoholics or they'd be diabetic or, you know, bleeding a lot harder to tattoo. So if you can tattoo people like that, then you can tattoo 18-year-old skin, no problem. I would regard myself as a custom artist, therefore I would always tattoo something as a one-off. You know, I don't use Google Images, or I would never ever copy someone's tattoo, for example. So the first thing would be to meet the client in person, preferably. We do a consultation for free, and we talk about exactly what they want, the placement, the budget, and everything else to do with that. Exactly, yeah. And then from there, if they're confident, then we set a rendezvous. And normally the day before, we'll draw up the tattoo.
Just the day before?
Yeah, for me it's better.
You are confident enough.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I really insist on the consultation before. So generally, like, people will come to me because they know my style, or they've seen my work and they've chosen me to do it. So we're kind of halfway there already. And in the consultation, we'll talk about everything like budget and the exact style and what I can do and get away with. And then, normally I'll only draw it the day before or the morning, because I want it to be fresh in my mind. I normally have about a month waiting list at the moment. So if I draw it up a few weeks before, the customer gets to see it, and then everybody, their mum, their sister, their best friend, or there's so many then changes that gets made. And also I lose the fire for it. I want it to be fresh in my mind and be like, right, okay, let's... Exactly, yeah. I mean, again, how I'll generally book people is that I'll work on bigger pieces, and I'll book one person a day, so that when they come in, they'll see the design, and if there's any minor changes, then it can easily be made. I'm not going to force them to get something done they're not happy with. And if there's, exactly, sit down, go. And if there's something very, very wrong with the design, or they've changed their mind, then we have to look at doing another rendezvous. But 9 times out of 10 or more, it never happens. So. Okay. Yeah. From that, if the design's good to go, then we'll make a transfer, which I'm going to show you how to do in a bit. That gets put onto the skin, and then after drying, we then just start the tattoo process. Everything will be set up sterile, ready to go. Depending on the size of the tattoo and how well the customer can sit, it can take anything from half an hour to
6 hours.
6-7 hours, or more for, like ongoing things, but that's done in sessions. We have like a minimum charge, which is €70 here. We're not one of the cheaper studios, but we're not one of the most expensive as well. We have to have a minimum charge though, even if the tattoo is very small, because all the equipment is single use and sterile. So even if it takes, the tattoo takes 5 minutes, we do have to pay for that minimum charge. So I'll work on bigger pieces for like a daily rate or an hourly rate, which is $150 an hour here. Am I earning like per week or per month? It's really hard to say. For example, if you have someone cancel or a few people just not show up for their appointment, even if they've left the deposit, the acompte, that's nothing when the tattoo should have been 500 and you're left with a €50 thing. So.
And about that, what are your charges?
My rent here on Cordelize is $700 a month, which is pretty good, I think, considering we're so close to Marché Capucin. Equipment-wise, I'll be ordering needles and inks and everything else that goes along with that. I'll spend maybe $600 every 1 to 2 months on what I'm buying in. Okay. Again, my minimum charge will cover that. The needles and everything I use is of a good quality as well. There's a lot cheaper I can do. I know I can do much better work with the right equipment, so I'll spend a bit more on that. Unfortunately, that's why my price might be a little bit higher than some people's. Maybe the collection of the hazard waste as well, I think that's really important. I'll have a professional company to come round and take away any material that's touched blood or anything. Pretty much it, yeah.
Tattooing makes you travel a lot around the world? Or?
I mean, you don't have to, but for me it was always something I wanted to do anyway, and therefore enabled me to get the other side of the world. When I first left England, I had a job set up in Sydney, Australia. Although I didn't end up going there, I went to Melbourne instead, and it changes. But again, the popularity of it, there's so many studios now, and if you've got a good strong portfolio, then you should be able to get decent work anywhere.
You can go from different places and
guest spot you call it. Yeah. For example, I'll take on like guest artists here, friends that I've met along the way. Now I can give them a place when they once gave me a spot, wherever that was in the world. The first studio I worked in Australia was a place of 10 other artists, and it was the first time the receptionist asked me what's your style? What do you want to do? And I'd never been asked that before. The way I'd been taught was to do everything. Whatever comes in the door, you have to do it well. But it was the first time that I became aware that I can specialise in something. And yeah, in Australia it became more photorealism, like portraits, which is funny because then when I went to Berlin with that portfolio,
They didn't like it.
nobody wanted realistic work there.
I
Yeah.
don't want an Elvis in my arm.
Yeah, it's bizarre, but so yeah, from there it went to more like neo-trad, which is I love this style, neo-traditionnel.
How are the relation between different tattoo artists in the same city, or there is competition, or?
Yeah, I think there's always a bit of healthy competition. That's not a bad thing, though. It keeps you on your toes, you'd say, and makes you want to improve. When I first came to Bordeaux, because obviously I didn't do any apprenticeship here, or, you know, I was just coming to open a studio, which can be seen as a negative thing. I actually wrote a lot of the better studios, and I said hello and introduced myself, and you know, I'm coming with my husband who is Bordelais, and there's a reason that we're coming here, and we want to open a studio which was, you know, not close to any other studios, which is also important. My style is quite different to most artists' work that's here, very graphic in Bordeaux, black work. I do more colourful, neo-traditionnel sort of things. Yeah, a few wrote back and it was relatively friendly. They've come to see me. I've been to see them for a tattoo sometimes. I'm quite an open, friendly person. I just don't speak French, so that's the problem. But no, it's not been a bad. There's been a couple that have had a bit of a problem with me, but.
Last question: are you sometimes afraid to fail a tattoo, or do a mistake? Or?
Yeah, fail is a different thing. I mean, as an artist, I think I'm never 100% happy. Like I am happy with what I'll finish by the time I've done it, but I'll then look back at the photos, or, you know, it's not like a painting on a canvas that you can go away a few days and come back to. It's done. It walks out the door, and chances of you seeing them again is small. However, yeah, that being said, mistakes wise, no. I mean, when I first started, of course, you know, I'm very nervous and that. But no, it's a long time now, so it's a confidence thing. Yeah, tranquil, relaxed, Tranquilo. And everything. Exactement.
Tranquilo, amigo.
That's a good news for the two people who are
yeah. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry.